The new MacBook Neo has taken over the internet for reasons that feel almost opposite to what we're used to nowadays. Instead of the typical hype release filled with the over-the-top promises and supposedly groundbreaking feature that nobody asked for, the MacBook Neo is a simple laptop that doesn't reach for higher and better specs, but isn't attempting to undercut customers with a low-quality product. And most crucially, unbelievably, it's offered at a price point that meets consumers where they are at. And for this reason, and many, many more that we're going to explain in this video, I think that the MacBook Neo is an example of true minimalist tech, and maybe a positive shift in how our tech gets developed into the future. I don't know, I don't even want to say it. But as the reviews and the testers talk about the specs and the colors and the lack of backlighting on the keyboard or whatever, they are missing the true revolution that this laptop could present. This laptop is winning not because some tech bro invented a new stock market exploding feature or whatever, but because they finally listened to what people actually wanted. What if we didn't get new tech innovations every 12 months? What if instead of searching for constant growth, we instead developed for the needs of the people who would actually be using the product? All we want is something reliable that works well, doesn't break the bank. And that may just be minimalist MacBook Neo. Thank you to Incogni for sponsoring today's video. All right, y'all, so as you can tell, I'm sick. I have been absolutely blown out. That sounds horrible. My kid got an ear infection and pink eye, and so I got 2 ear infections and pink eye in both eyes, and I lost my voice, and it's been a whole time, but I don't need to bore you with that. That's just, I'm explaining why I sound all messed up, okay? My drama aside though, we have bigger and more important things to talk about, which is the MacBook Neo. So a while back, we made a video about how smartphones aren't really getting better anymore. Like year after year, we see the same hype and announcements, the features and whatever, and all we really get is a higher price tag. Things stay mostly the same. But I'm not going to summarize that video because you can watch it for yourself. Generally, the thing you have to understand is that this is just how capitalism and consumerism works today. We just keep pushing stuff out even if it's not making anything better because we have to make the line go up. But in a minimalist vision of the tech world, you could imagine, we have products that are developed specifically for their best functional use case that would best serve the people who use it, not whatever would be the most profitable for shareholders, etc. Now this is why we chose to frame this story around minimalism rather than maybe something like right to repair or ethical tech, because it was kind of the easiest word that we could use to frame it, because there's honestly not a lot of buzz or hype around right to repair, sadly, or ethical stuff when it comes to technology. People tend to sort of glaze over when you talk about those things. But there is a category of minimalist tech. There is a movement into digital minimalism. And so I felt like the MacBook Neo could sort of capture some of that in this moment. Let me explain why. So when I started researching for this video, I realized that the concept of minimalism in relationship to tech specifically has been completely eaten alive by consumerism. So there's 2 different things happening. First being the digital minimalism, which is sort of the philosophical side of this conversation, and then the very strange consumerist world of minimalist tech. Cal Newport popularized the term digital minimalism through his 2019 book. This is a version of minimalism that focuses entirely on technology use and focusing your time, helping you sort of optimize your productivity while eliminating distractions. This is like classic minimalism, a lifestyle that encourages intentional living through the elimination of excess stuff to focus on what truly matters. Now, this is a genuine community of thought. You know, people really do practice this stuff, and it is directly connected to minimalism. But the minimalism movement, as we've sort of explained in another video, has died off. And you should watch that whole video. But basically, in it, we talk about how inevitably, as these sort of fringe ideas become popular, they get commodified and corrupted by the engine of consumerism. And by the end of the minimalist peak online that we sort of saw back in 2017, 2018, it had become a lot more about looking the part of being a minimalist than actually reducing your consumption or living a simpler, more intentional life. And so today we have the sort of bits and pieces, the scraps of whatever minimalism is left with, right? You've probably seen some of the minimalist tech that came out of this digital minimalism ideology, stuff like the dumb phones, which offer you the ability to have a really expensive smartphone that's not really that smart, or stuff like this weird black and white Game Boy with a crank arm on it. It just seems kind of overly complicated for no reason, really. And the problem with this version of minimalist tech is that in its attempt to eliminate distractions, it's sort of eliminated all of the conveniences of technology. Like, the whole reason of having a smartphone is to make your life simpler and easier, and then they just got rid of all of the stuff that made your life simple and easy and just made it harder to use. But then there is this whole other side of minimalist tech that I didn't even know existed. And this is basically, they use the premium sounding label of minimalism to ironically sell people a bunch of stuff that they definitely don't need. So when I was looking this up, I found this video from Mr. Who's Boss called "I Bought the Most Minimalist Tech Ever." I'm not hating here. Like, listen, I think Mr. Who's Boss actually produces some pretty awesome content. He's an amazing creator. But this is probably the least minimalist video I have ever watched. He basically goes out and buys an entire household worth of tech based on what he and I guess Google deems to be minimalist, I guess. There's a monitor that comes in a briefcase for some reason. Like how often are you traveling? Like we have laptops for that. We have a plate that you can cook your meals on. Or are you grabbing that pencil? Okay. Cheers. So he's got a plate that you cook your meals on, an air purifier that is also a table, a picture frame that is a speaker, a folding treadmill, and this robot chef thing that apparently cooks for you, but only if the thing that it's cooking is basically like a slot bowl. So I guess, like, in some ways I can see how perhaps if you stretched your understanding of the word minimalist, these could qualify. But needless to say, it's kind of a mess. The term minimalist tech is a confused terminology, and when we tried to apply it to the MacBook Neo, we had to sort of figure out what the heck was being defined by this term out there in the real world. You have this weird spectrum where on one hand, from a consumer minimalist perspective, maybe, the newest iPhone Pro Max or whatever is the most minimalist tech item because it serves as a Swiss Army knife of sorts. All the tech things that you might need in one product. So, by that logic, the picture frame speaker kind of works, I guess. But then there's this other way of looking at it, which is the lens of digital minimalism, when you have a singular item that functions on its own, without any distractions associated with it. In this case, it's sort of like less is more, right? But all of this is, I think, just a product of the minimalist trend getting cannibalized by capitalism over the years. So here is my reframe. I think that the perfect piece of minimalist tech today is one that includes the right to repair, is developed using technology that we already have, is designed to fulfill a user's needs without additional features that aren't needed or hyped up unnecessarily, and that is built to last beyond next year's update. And that is basically the MacBook Neo. And look, I know it's not perfect, but it does fulfill a lot of what the minimalist terminology might imply. And we can break down some of this nuance after this brief ad read that really helps keep this channel afloat even when your boy feels like he's dying. So if minimalism is all about removing distractions, opting out, and removing unnecessary clutter from your life, then you might want to consider using Incognito to wipe your personal information off the internet so that you don't have to worry about general privacy issues, scam attempts, identity theft, and more. If you're thinking it's time to go through all those pesky promotional emails cluttering your inbox, it might actually be a sign to attack it at the source, if you know what I mean. Every year, both the number and the scope of data breaches worldwide are rising, and that includes your own data getting breached too. There are hundreds of commercial databases and people search sites out there, I had no idea. And chances are your personal information is being sold or published online without you even knowing about it. It really sucks. This is what the internet is basically like nowadays. You have to prepare yourself. The good news is that Incognito reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, requesting your personal data be removed and dealing with any objections from their side. And with Incognito's custom removals feature in the unlimited plan and family unlimited plan, you can point to any people search site or other website where your personal information is visible, and one of their agents will take care of the rest for you. So go to incognito.com/Hildebrand and use code Hildebrand for 60% off Incognito's annual plan. Think about it this way. If you were to do all this by yourself, you'd need to repeat the process every few months as data brokers continue to collect your data and create new records for you. But with Incognito, the whole process is automated, so you finally can just go outside and touch some friggin' grass. Once again, that's incogni.com/Hildebrand. Use code Hildebrand to get 60% off Incogni's annual plan. Thank you so much to Incogni. Let's get back into the video. Oh my God, you guys, I'm not good. I'm not good, you guys. Okay, so I'm not gonna glaze Apple any more than I have to, because you know what? They're just one of the many massive billion-dollar companies that are out there actively trying to become our overlords. But the MacBook Neo was an incredibly socially intelligent move for them. So if you scroll through their website where they've launched the MacBook Neo, or you look at their video that they just released about it, one thing that I find absolutely mind-boggling about all this, and I'm sure somebody else has mentioned it, but I'm gonna mention it too, they barely mention AI at all.
There was a video, it was just someone supercutting every time they said AI at like the recent Samsung conference.
In the era of AI,
when they say AI, they're saying it to shareholders and they're saying it to investors. The investors think that because they're saying AI, that it's like they're making these huge tech advances.
We see a lot of companies right now trying to push AI down everyone's throat and making terrible ads with it and stuff. So their ad that they made for the MacBook Neo is completely AI free. It's very tasteful, very interesting, sort of captivating ad, honestly. And you see this awareness, a genuinely surprising amount of awareness for Apple through this entire product launch. In a time of unprecedented household debt, in a time where new tech releases are famously underwhelming.
I don't know what to tell you guys. All right. We're gonna have Boz come out here and we're just gonna go to the next thing that I wanted to show and hope that will work.
Apple releases an affordable laptop for the masses that functions as it should. Let me be clear, I don't think that this is like a minimalist manifesto product. It is not perfect, but this is what all laptops should be as like a baseline. The Framework laptop is a truly modular laptop, and it's probably the most evolved, repairable, ethical option that's out there. But for many people, the Neo is the best option that we have seen in a very long time. Basically, every single review that you see for this thing online is positive, and this points to a really unfortunate thing, which is that, no, Apple is not just a virtuous company and they just happen to make something useful for their customers out of the goodness of their hearts. They finally did what people have been asking for years. Instead of removing a headphone jack or changing the charging port or making these meaningless upgrades year over year and charging more money for their phones regardless of whether or not it was actually better or not, they kept it simple. Minimalist, even. Now, I'm not gonna describe and break down the laptop because there's thousands of videos out there that do exactly that, but basically, they just took a bunch of their older, more tried and true components and they built a laptop with it that works. It uses the chip from their iPhones. It has a keyboard that doesn't light up, the screen isn't as fancy, there's no Touch ID. And the thing that blows me away about this is that all of those features that are not in the Neo were used as a hype piece when they were originally launched. Like being able to use Touch ID to open up your MacBook was like a huge promotional thing that Apple like really leaned into. It was like, oh my God, it's like you're gonna get this thing, it's gonna change your life. And now it's like, oh well, our latest one, like you gotta just type in your password. And no one cares. Everyone's like, hey, you know what? It's $600. Yeah, I can type in my password. If that's what it takes, I'll type in my password. And listen, people are still comparing the nits of brightness and the gigabytes and the processor speeds and the blah, 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 blah. They're all just trying to see what incremental progress has been made on the last generation. But this laptop proves that you don't need to continuously get better every single year. This computer is probably suitable for upwards of 90% of people. Like honestly, they say it's for students, I guess, but really what is a student doing that the majority of computer users aren't doing? And I think that this is proof that people just want minimalist tech. They don't want something that has like 16 different features that they're not gonna use. They just want something that's gonna work. They don't care about dynamic islands or specific buttons for taking photos. The reason why I bought this MacBook, which is, I can't remember which generation it is, but I bought it for this thing right here. I professionally make videos for a living, and I had the previous MacBook, and all it had was these stupid USB Type-Cs, and they released this one with an HDMI port and a frickin' card reader, and I was like, oh, the thing that you need on a working MacBook, like a frickin' professional laptop? Oh, okay, great. Well, then I'll just spend grand. I don't understand why this is so hard for companies to understand. It's like, do the thing that the people want and then we'll buy it. Like, instead of trying to invent something that doesn't make any sense, like, just get over yourself, dude. It's actually not about you. I think what is so refreshing about this laptop is that it feels like, for the first time maybe, the tech lords are actually listening to their users, like, instead of forcing us to use something that we don't actually want. Like, with AI being shoved into everything right now and screens appearing in pretty much frickin' everything, it is nice to see a product that actually fulfills a need. Like, so many of the products that were in that Mr. Who's Boss video were just like features that nobody asked for. Things that solved problems that never existed in the first place. And look, I would love to say that every tech company is getting on board with this now and they're just gonna start releasing products that people actually want. That is unfortunately not what we're seeing. But there is some cool things happening. The Slate truck is kind of like this. Like, I really don't know how we got to this point where a affordable, simple vehicle that just gets you to where you need to go is a novel idea, but here we are. And if this thing ever comes to a reality at the price point that they're trying to sell it at, it could be a real game changer too. And the one thing that the Slate and the MacBook Neo have in common is that they're actually kind of having fun with it a little bit. The Slate in particular is low on features, like it has crank windows, a relatively low range, and no big 0 to 60 numbers or anything, but you can customize it in a bunch of ways to make it your own. And I think that there's an important realization there too, which is that people are drawn to these crazy numbers and the specs of stuff, but they also just kind of want it to be cool. The fingerprint reader on the MacBook is a perfect indication that, like, people are going to be super interested in something wild and crazy that they've never seen before, but they also, at the end of the day, will choose the thing that works the best for their lifestyle if it's available. And I think what is very interesting about this particular time in tech that we are living through is that people are actually starting to take back control in some ways. The analog movement, with the piracy movement of people downloading movies again, with the digital minimalism thing, like, people don't want to be given this black and white Game Boy with a crank on the side of it. They just want their old Game Boy again. We want to be able to use and adapt technology to what it is that we actually want to use it for, not be told by some massive faceless company that, like, hey, we figured out how to fold phones in half. Do you want us to give us $2,000 for it? The folding phone thing just, we made a whole video about that too. Jesus Christ. But of course, I need to clarify here too, because just because something is cool and has been released does not mean that you should go out and buy it. EVs in general are kind of like this, like, especially for people who are environmentally minded who want to save the planet. You shouldn't sell your Toyota Prius and go out and buy a brand new EV because you think you're going to save the planet, okay? Just because Apple releases a very practical device at a good price point does not mean that you should go out and buy it if you have a laptop that works right now. It's the same with the folding phones. Just because it exists does not mean that you should buy it. Say it with me. Just because it exists does not mean that you should buy it. The best laptop is the one that you have right now. The best car is the one that you have right now. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video. And hopefully, I am less sick. Love you all.